If your OPIc answer sounds like this: I like hiking. I go hiking every weekend. It's fun and healthy. I like nature. Then I know exactly why you're scoring intermediate mid and not intermediate high. In this video, I'm going to show you what that answer looks like at IH level. And more importantly, I'm going to break down the exact difference so you can apply it to every single OPIc question you get. Let's go. My name is Jim. I've been teaching English for over 20 years. University classrooms, corporate settings, language schools. The one thing I've noticed after watching hundreds of speaking tests is this: the gap between intermediate high and intermediate mid is almost never about vocabulary. It's about structure. IM speakers and IH speakers are often using similar words, but IH speakers know how to build a response. They know how to add detail and when to use a past tense story, how to connect ideas, and how to wrap it all up. That's a skill. It can be taught. So, what I'm going to do right now is give you the exact same OPIc question, and I'm going to give you two different answers. One that scores IM, one that scores IH. Same question, same topic, different results. Here's the question. Tell me about a hobby you enjoy. How did you get started, and how has it changed you? Okay, IM response. Here we go. I like hiking. I started hiking 3 years ago. I go hiking every weekend with my friends. It is fun and healthy. I like being in nature. Hiking makes me feel good. Okay, that's an IM response. Listen, it's not wrong. The grammar is basically fine. The topic is covered. But let me show you what an OPIc rater is looking at when they hear that. First, length. 6 sentences. That's the floor for IM. IH wants 5 to 8 sentences with actual depth, not 6 short ones. Second, transitions. How many connectors did you hear? None. Every sentence was like the next sentence. I like hiking. I go hiking. It is fun. That is a list. It's not a response. Third, past tense. IH speakers tell stories. They say, I remember when. Last month, I. This response stayed entirely in the present and nothing happened. And fourth, no wrap-up. It just stops. IH responses land. They conclude. This one just kind of fades out. Now, same question, same topic. Let's do IH level. One of my favorite hobbies is hiking. I actually got started about 3 years ago when a friend invited me to a trail near my city, and I was genuinely surprised by how much I loved it. What I love most about it is the way it just clears my mind. After a stressful week, a 2-hour hike makes me feel completely reset. For example, last month I completed a 12-kilometer trail in the mountains, and the view from the top was genuinely breathtaking. On the other hand, I'll admit the early morning wake-ups are still a challenge for me. Overall, though, hiking has taught me that I'm more capable than I thought, and honestly, that's a lesson that's carried over into other parts of my life. Now, did you feel the difference? Same hobby, same person, but the second response tells a story. It connects ideas. It gives specific detail, acknowledges the other side, and then ends with a thought. That's what intermediate high sounds like. Now, let me break down exactly what changed between those two responses. There are 6 things, and every one of them is something that you can practice. Length and depth. Now, notice IM has 6 short sentences with no elaboration. IH had 7 sentences, but each one adds something. Length without depth doesn't really help. Depth is what matters. Now, every time you finish a sentence, ask yourself, So what? Why? What example? That question alone adds 2 sentences to every response. Now, number 2 right here, real past tense story. I am, everything is present tense. I go hiking. I like nature. Nothing ever happened, right? IH, last month I completed a 12-kilometer trail, right? One specific past event, that's really all it takes. Now, you don't need a long story. One sentence with last month, last year, or a few years ago shifts the register completely for this one. Number 3, transition words as the architecture. Now, I am has 0 transitions. Every sentence is its own island. What IH is like what I love most. For example, on the other hand, overall, 4 transitions, 7 sentences. Now, transitions aren't just a decoration. They tell the reader that you're organizing your thinking in real time. And that's a higher cognitive load, and it scores higher. Specific detail. I go hiking every weekend. It's vague. Could be anyone. IH, 12-kilometer trail in the mountains. Numbers and location. Feels real, feels personal. Now, when you catch yourself saying something generic, like it's fun or it's healthy, I like it, stop. Add a number or a name or a place. That is the IH upgrade. Now, number 5 right here, contrast. On the other hand, I am no contrast, just one-sided. IH, on the other hand, I'll admit the early mornings are a challenge. That one sentence shows nuanced thinking. Now, in the response, find one thing that you can push back on or qualify. Raters reward complexity. Although, on the other hand, even though, one of these is generally enough for per response. Okay, and number 6 right here, the wrap-up. Now, I am just fades out. The response just stops. Now, IH, overall, hiking has taught me that I'm more capable than I thought. Now, that's a conclusion with a personal reflection. So, end every response with one sentence that starts with either overall, in the end, or that's why it kind of signals complexity and maturity to the rater. Now, I know these 6 things sound like a lot for you to keep track of and everything else. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to give you kind of a shortcut that I've developed, and let me give it to you right now. In the guide I built, the OPIc IH strategy guide, I call this the expand framework. Every letter is a check you run through your head before you start speaking. E, extend, 5+ sentences minimum. X, example. For example, P, personal connection. In my experience, A, add contrast. On the other hand, N, narrate, one past tense story. And finally, D, detail, a number, name, or place. Now, before you answer any OPIc question, you mentally run through expand. Not all 6 every time, but 3 or 4 of them will naturally fall into place, and your response immediately sounds more complete. The students I've worked with who use this framework consistently, they stop asking, what else do I say? Because they always have a next move. Now, if you want to take this further, I made a free 1-page card. You can download it right now. It's the Solve framework, step-by-step structure specifically for OPIc roleplay and problem-solving questions, which is where most students lose their points. The link is in the description, teachingenglishisfun.com. Drop your email. I'll send it to you instantly. No spam, just the card. And if you want the full system, all 12 sections, the mock test, the 7-day study plan, the sentence frames toolkit, the OPIc IH strategy guide is also linked there. Now, subscribe if this was useful. I'm going to keep making these. More comparisons, more breakdowns, more frameworks. All of it focused on the gap between IM and IH, because that's exactly where most of you are right now. Now, you've got this, so I'll see you in the next one.